Hello everyone, and welcome to the Week 31 edition of Instant Replay, where I give you my take on the most controversial calls of the weekend. I'm Simon Borg. Let's get one play out of the way right from the start. That big offside call in Portland on Sunday. It's the 92nd minute, and Robbie Keane thinks he's just scored the equalizer at Jeld-Wen Field, but it's flagged by assistant referee Eric Borg, who sticks to his guns in the face of the protest by Keane, Landon Donovan, and Bruce Arena. The angle is not ideal, but the replay shows Keane to be ahead of the last defender before the free kick is taken. Keane also wanted a penalty just before halftime. Here as well, the angle is not ideal and the camera's wet, but Diego Chara may very well have touched Keane's right leg during his shooting motion. But again, it's tough to see for sure, and referee Ismail Elfaf doesn't call it. I thought Portland should have had a penalty in this one. It's the 67th minute, and Diego Valeri beats Juninho to this ball, but he's tripped up in the process. Even though Valeri is exiting the box, it's a foul inside the area. That's a penalty to me. No doubt about the PK called in Seattle by Kevin Stott for a handball by New York's Marcus Holgerson. His arm is clearly extended from his body, and he actually looks to be lifting it slightly in order to get a touch. My only surprise was that there was no yellow card to Holgerson. A yellow was shown to Seattle's Brad Evans in the 54th minute for a foul on Tim Cahill, but I thought Cahill should have also received a yellow for putting Evans in a headlock just before. But the big controversy in the game came on the Red Bulls' goal by Cahill in the 76th minute. On the initial pass by Peggy Luyindola to teammate Johnny Steele, there is what looks to be a clear offside on Steele, but benchside assistant Craig Lowry doesn't flag it. Next to Toyota Park, where I thought Montreal's Davy Arnaud was lucky not to get hit with a red card for this challenge on Gonzalo Segares. Studs are up, and this could have done some serious damage. He gets by with a yellow from referee Armando Villarreal. In the 73rd minute, the Fire took a momentary lead in this game after Mike McGee stripped Montreal keeper Troy Perkins of this ball. But he also nearly stripped him of his shirt. McGee tugs down on Perkins' jersey so hard you can see his undershirt. That was a clear foul to me, and the goal should not have counted. McGee could have had a hat trick in this game when he lined up for a penalty kick in the 79th minute, but he slammed his shot off the bar. Now, the Impact had an issue with the penalty in the first place, arguing that advantage had been given by the referee after the initial Perkins foul on Patrick Nyarko. But did he really give advantage? You see from the real-time video when we slow it down that referee Armando Villarreal has his whistle in his mouth and is already sprinting toward the penalty spot before Juan Luis Anangonó gets the follow-up shot off. True, you can't have double jeopardy on those plays, but this is not the case here. From Toyota Park to Toyota Stadium, where the officiating crew made the right call on the play that led to the Mauro Diaz goal in the 54th minute. As Zach Lloyd dances down the sideline in front of the crew bench, the ball never crosses the line entirely and is never out of play. The crew players stopped, but Dallas did not, and they get their second goal of the game. Also credit the fair play by crew head coach Brian Bliss, who after the game admitted that, quote, "It was not out of bounds, I was right there." There was also a question about the Bernardo Inor goal that sealed the 4-2 win for the crew. Sure, the ball does come off his arm, but it was not intentional. The ball ricochets off the Dallas defender just before, and Inor does not have time to get his arm out of the way. That was all she wrote for FC Dallas, even though Blas Perez tries his best to sell the referee on a penalty kick in the 89th minute. But referee Drew Fisher doesn't bite, and frankly, Perez doesn't even protest. We have an incident to look at in Vancouver just minutes after the second half kickoff. You see Real Salt Lake's Chris Schuler puts his shoulder into Tommy Heinemann, who was not braced for the contact. There was talk of an elbow on the broadcast, but I don't see it. No card for Schuler there, but how does he not get at least a yellow for interrupting this Whitecaps attack with what I thought was a foul on Russell Tybert? But referee Baldomero Toledo allows play to continue. Next to Gillette Stadium, where there was some question about a foul that wasn't called in the lead-up to the Dynamo's equalizer. Houston's Brad Davis loses this aerial challenge to New England defender A.J. Soares, but he also delivers a right elbow into Soares' ribcage. That's a foul to me, but referee Edvin Jurasevich doesn't stop play, and the Dynamo score moments later while Soares was still on the ground. Houston's Will Bruin picks up the ball in the box in the exact spot Soares probably would have occupied. But Davis had his own gripe just before halftime. Here he bodies up Lee Wynn in the corner, but the Revs playmaker whips his left elbow into Davis's face. Look at the direction of the elbow. Wynn points it way up. Now, Davis doesn't flop, and play continues until a foul is eventually called on Davis. I actually think this elbow by Wynn, while not necessarily violent in nature or excessive in force, it does endanger the safety of his opponent, and by definition, it should be a red. But because Davis doesn't flop, there's not even a card. Moving to Sporting Park, where Kansas City had 2 shots for a handball in the early going, but I think neither was deliberate. For me, it was ball to hand in the 11th minute in the case of Jeff Park. And then 4 minutes later, it's another Dom Dwyer header, but Fabinho doesn't even have a chance to get out of the way if he even does touch it with his arm. On the other end, there was a half-hearted claim for a handball on the Connor Casey game winner. But no way, the ball clearly comes off the top of his right shoulder. A frustrated Peter Vermees complained after the game about the gamesmanship from Philadelphia, and he claimed they were slowing down the game. Frankly, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary, and I think referee Ricardo Salazar handled things well, even showing a yellow to Shannon Williams in the 82nd minute when he walked off the field way too slowly on a substitution. Only one play to look at in Toronto. It's the 62nd minute, and it's 1-1 between TFC and DC United when Darrell Russell goes down in the box, and DC's Colin Martin definitely has both arms hooked into Russell. That's a penalty for me, but assistant Adam Garner doesn't flag it, and referee Ted Uncle doesn't whistle it. 5 minutes later, Uncle did make the right decision not to blow the whistle on TFC's go-ahead goal when Marcelo Zaragoza applies an American football tackle on Andrew Wiedemann. But advantage is given, and Bright DK puts the home team up for good. Toronto would go on to win 4-1. Lastly, we end at the StubHub Center where San Jose's Steven Lenhart was at the heart of the most controversial plays in the match against Chivas USA. First, in the 37th minute, referee Jose Carlos Rivero does well to give him a yellow for this reckless stray arm when he goes up for a header against Chivas USA's Steve Purdy Ramos, who left the game with an injury. After the break, Lenhart scored what the Quakes thought was the opener in the 47th minute, but Rivero calls a foul by Cordell Cato on Carlos Borja. I personally don't see what Cato did to deserve the whistle. In the end, San Jose got their game-winning goal through Kurs Wondolowski, but minutes before that, they went down to 10 men when Lenhart got a second yellow for a reckless charge on goalkeeper Dan Kennedy. I disagree with the call, and here's why. I think that first, the ball was fair game, a 50-50 ball. And secondly, if the referee issued the card for a late hit, I frankly think it was a bang-bang play. Whistle blows, and it's too late for Lenhart, or Kennedy for that matter, to pull out. Does Lenhart lead with his elbow? No way. I think he tucks it in at the last moment. In the end, Lenhart's reputation of playing on the edge may have cost him here, although I don't think it should have. That's all we have for this week. For our editor, Abner Aceves, I'm Simon Borg. We'll see you next time.